Good morning or good evening, everyone, or wherever you're coming from around the world to watch this incredible interview today. It's Live Your Best Life, and my name is Michele Jones, LYBL as our community know us. And I have this incredible opportunity today to connect with this remarkable human being you see on screen with me, the incredible Tara Davidson. And Tara and I have been, oh wow, Tara, how long? I didn't even check in. You know me and time frames, I have no idea. It would be like 2011, perhaps, that you reached out to me.
I think so.
I think so, because it was in 2012 I moved back to the lake in Australia, in Lake Macquarie. And Tara, it's just such a privilege to have you here, because where are you joining us today?
Well, we
Where
are
are you
live
joining us from?
Grenada, which is in the Caribbean, and it's one of the southern islands in the Caribbean. And the reason why it's the southern is because you try to avoid the hurricanes.
And it is hurricane season over there right now, isn't it? We've been following your journey because, you know, if you're a Live Your Best Life community member, most people are tuning in to you for the contribution that you've made to our community over the years. I mean, it's been 9 years, perhaps. You know, I lose track of time, and anyone who knows me knows that I'm always in the moment, so I have no idea if it's 10 years, 20 years. All I know is the experiences and the memories that have been created and where we are right now. So it was just one of those moments in time, really, where we came together. But the contribution that you've made to our Live Your Best Life community over the years, and the experience I think that people have when they're in your company, because they really feel seen and they really feel heard and they really feel so supported. So any Live Your Best Life community members that are watching this, I'm sure that you'll be glad to see Tara on screen. I know you're watching her journey, and it's been an incredible journey. You inspire so many people, so it's my absolute gratitude today, and I'm so thankful that you could come ashore from your lucky yacht to join us and find some stable Wi-Fi. Let's trust it will hold out, yeah. So I'd like to just share a little excerpt if I could. I mean, you and I have just been chatting. I mean, we'll always be connected. It's that soul sister connection. And, you know, I'm sitting here at Live Your Best Life headquarters, and there's still remnants of you here. You know, you've been a part of our, not only the community, but also a part of our organization, and I guess the work that we've done. You know, you're threaded through that, and anyone who's been on our retreats or our programs has felt you deeply. But I just remember our story was you reached out to me on good old Facebook, and I was really not great at Facebook back then, was I? And I go through moments where I'm in and out, right? I'm not very consistent at Facebook, but I do understand how important it is to stay connected to people. So yeah, tell me, what was your experience?
I just remember that I was seeing you through Facebook. You know, I didn't even know why you were coming onto my feed, but there you were again, and you're just supporting people in business, and I was just trying to get my business off the ground, and I was like, I need to meet this girl who, you know, where I figured out you were in Lake Macquarie. And then so I sent you an email, and I remember I said to Chris, my husband, I'm like, do you know this person? Because, you know, you seem to be friends with friends of hers or something. We figured out. And he said he went to school with you. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I have to get in touch. So I sent a little email to you, and I remember saying, I just want to meet you. I want to be part of what you're doing, whatever that Live Your Best Life stuff is. Can we meet?
Yes, and I felt so drawn to you. So as it goes, for anyone who, and if you don't do this, then you're making it up, guys. Like, seriously. You then check the other person out, right? You go online and you go, what does this woman do? Or what is she all about? And all I knew was like, I needed to meet this woman. You were making a big impact in, I guess, the health space, I would say, well-being. It was more a wellness, well-being space. So you'd come from that personal training background, but you let's say, okay, anyone who knows this lady, she's got many backgrounds. But this at the time was where you were doing your massage, therapy work, energy style work, and you know, you'd been personal training, and I was like, I really need a personal trainer, and I really need a great masseuse. And I could see the light that shot out of you, and I went, right, let's meet. And then literally from there, so much happened, didn't it? Really, like it was like a bit of a whirlwind. We were like, two people like us come together. It's like we don't muck around.
Yeah,
we don't muck around. We did. And you know, and my husband Dave and your husband Chris, like we all went to school together, and this was just really lovely for me. I'd only just moved back to the lake as well, so having just married Dave, so you know, to meet yourself and to be able to connect on the way that we did was just beautiful. I remember you had written something to me, and we were just reflecting on how we came together and what we've done. And if you don't mind, are you okay if I share this?
Yeah.
It was how we met and came together, because I had said to you, one of the biggest things I'll always be grateful for is that Live Your Best Life brought you to me. And we were reflecting on the fact that you're now off living an adventure, living your own version of your own best life and what it means to you right now. And yeah, I wanted to do this interview. I just felt so called, because I don't feel like when you left that we honored you enough to say thank you for the contribution that you've made. And you know, it's really interesting. Well, we didn't really have a chance. It was like boom.
Tara's left the building.
Tara's left the building. She's jumped on her yacht and off she's gone. And I just remember the you know, quick, got to pack up the house, got to sell the house, got to get everything going, garage sales, let's do this, we're off. And I will open up with that. We'll go through that, because there's a dream and there's a reality that happened. But how we met and came together, I will always cherish. The day you invited me to be part of the LYBL team is a day I will always remember. I was fascinated in the work you were doing, changing lives, and I didn't know what I had to do. I didn't know what I had to offer others, but I knew I wanted to be part of it. And I'll always be thankful and grateful for this opportunity for me to align my offerings with that of Live Your Best Life. And, you know, I always say Live Your Best Life is, it's just a campfire where people can come to do that. It's our uniqueness. It's who we are. It's the essence of who we are. So it's not like you come to LYBL and it has to be one way. It can be your way. And I think that we just provide that environment of safety or connection for people to be able to reconnect back to themselves, to then be able to redefine what maybe living their best life means to them. Because even after all the coaching work that we've done together, I mean, you as a wellness coach, you were our in-house resident wellness coach here. Your contribution to retreat programs was definitely your magic touch and energy, and just the way that you would support and hold and nurture people. You know, but you're also fun and you're funny. and you've got these little Tara-isms that we just absolutely adore. So I want to just ask you today, if we can just have like a conversation, an LYBL campfire conversation, as if we are just sitting around having a yarn. And I know people will take from it what they will, and if our message resonates with them, they'll tune in, and if not, that's fine too, because we're just two friends having a chat.
Who cares?
So before we dive into any questions and things like that, tell me, how are you in, I'm going to say Grenada, but you're going to say Grenada in the south of Grenada in the Caribbean, or the Caribbean. And you've come ashore off Lucky. Can you just tell us a little bit about how are you there? Like, what got you there?
Right now, what got us to Grenada is trying to avoid hurricanes. That's the main thing. But with the COVID, just to give you a quick synopsis, so we got locked down in St. Martin. St. Martin is not where you want to be when hurricane season comes. It's been hit by so many hurricanes. The destruction is just everywhere. you know, you can see it. It's just, they can't ever clean up because it just gets hit again. And the people are amazing because they just keep pushing on. You know, it's such a life lesson to see these people just keep rebuilding and keep rebuilding and keep rebuilding. But we didn't really want to, do that. So there wasn't any other islands in all of the Caribbean on the southern side that were open. So we had absolutely no choice whatsoever to, there was a group that was opening up Grenada, and they were working with the government, and you had to register, and you had to go through all these whole loophole, you know, jumping hoops. And we finally, you know, made that decision. But I'll tell you, if I come back, and I wrote it in my journal, is 3 days before that, 3 days before we decided we were supposed to go to America, and we were just going to cruise there with a flotilla because we had to get out of the hurricane season. Yeah. And we had to get safe out of this, but Chris isn't allowed. So it was, you know, that's a long story, really, how we got here. But long and short of it is that we were able to get here safely, and we're out of hurricane season. The reason why we didn't go to America is because Chris's application ended up going into the next stage. We were just going to be cowboys. I'm like, you know what? Let's just go. What are they going to do? We need to just deliver the boat. The girls and I will be here. We have passports, and Chris may or may not get to stay. He may or may not have to go to be flown out to Australia, but the boat will be there, and we'll just take the consequences. And I said, we'll just be cowboys. Let's just go. Let's just do it. I don't care. We're not invited. We're not wanted. We know we can't go. We know we won't be in, but we're going to go anyway. But we didn't. We came here. So we're here now. And it's beautiful. This is a beautiful country. I love it.
Yeah, I've been watching your journey, and also if anyone is really curious about this journey at a deeper level, Tara's been really committed to her writing, and she's created a blog about lucky living and living on board Lucky and what that adventure looks like. So I think that it's a WordPress blog, Lucky Living. People can WordPress blog.
I've had a bit of writer's block. I haven't written for a month. I don't know. I don't have anything to say, so I
think you've written a lot of stuff on there, though. People could go back and track your journey. And
there's plenty there. We're just kind of doing every day. Every day is very simple at the moment. We don't have any disasters, which I'm happy not to write about, and you know, we're just living our best life quietly at the moment. So it's
Well, I don't think that you really, yes, you live quietly, and I know you love to live with peace. But I do believe that you live large, large of heart, large of spirit, and large of impact. And sometimes I don't think you even realize the impact that you make on others, even those living their life vicariously through your adventures right now. But if we just go back a little bit, so yes, you're there right now, but what about, how did that even all start? Did it start with a dream, perhaps?
Well, yeah. Well, it's always, I think it's even more than a dream, because I think dreaming is something that you do, you know, it's like a brainstorm. You know, you have big dreams, and there's a number of them, and this particular, what we're doing right now is more than a dream. It's what I call, you know, a seed that was buried inside of me that has been whispering for many years, that I was to buy a boat somewhere and sail somewhere, and with Chris. And when we got married, I remember specifically, my dad said, "Why do you think this marriage is going to work?" And I just looked at him straight in the eye and said, "Because we have the same dream." And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "We both want to sail the world." And, you know, for a dad, he wasn't buying that at all, but that was the end of the conversation. But it was really, for me, it was, you know, and Chris, we'd bring it up, and it's in some of the darkest times of our relationship, and we've had quite a few, it was the one thing I'm like, no, because we haven't done the thing yet. We haven't lived the dream yet. We're fighting through life now to live the dream when it comes. And So it was, yeah, it was planted in my heart, and it was when it happened and when the opportunity came as it did unexpectedly, it was like everything fell in line, and I'm just like, okay, we got to go. It's got to happen.
I remember everything just lined up like it was, and I think that is part of what I've understood now with coaching and working with clients and working with so many people, is that once that decision is made, it's like the universe just jumps on in to support and rally behind you, because on that level, I think energetically, the intention is so clear and so pure. And I think it being your friends as well, we've witnessed you celebrate your love and your anniversaries every year around a particular poem that actually signified this dream that you brought into your vows, into your marriage. So yeah, so that's just lovely to know that it happened. So is it all magical rainbows and unicorns?
No.
And I think this is such an important conversation, right? So the notion of living your best life kind of gives the impression to anyone who doesn't know our values right here, that there's no challenges, there's no darkness, there's nothing to get through. And I think that's such an important message too, because right now, wherever you are is absolutely perfect. Even if it's imperfect, that's perfect too. And we often get asked, don't we, around why live your best life is black and white, and why it doesn't actually have any color in it. And it's literally to signify that the black and white, the duality of contrast. So in where there's darkness, where there's light, there can't be darkness, but there is this beautiful contrast that you can't really experience darkness without light, or light without darkness, because how do you know the difference? Exactly. And it's about learning to blend and merge those things so that you understand that that's just perfect how it is, and whatever is present in your life right now is the ultimate gift. And that's hard when things are tough, and that's hard when you feel like this is heavy.
And that's, I'll tell you one thing. It's when you read about it and you read it in the words, you're like, yeah, okay, it all makes sense. And and even when you're going through it, like all the stars aligned, and the house was sold, and the car was sold, and everything like, like, oh man, this is going to be the ride of my life. And then you're going up the roller coaster, and then you go down, and it's all out of control. So it's been a crazy roller coaster. It's tried me on every single level, and it's tried us as a relationship, all four of us in different ways, with ourselves and with each other. And it's I know I'll look back and have no regrets, but it's definitely when you step into something that you've dreamt to be true, you have a certain expectation that it's going to be the way you dreamt it to be, and that can be disheartening. And that's the part, I think, that if I could manage my own expectation or just eliminate it, then I would be able to, I'm learning how to do that so that I can actually appreciate what's in front of me, instead of like trying to control how it's supposed to be, and how how the girls experience it. And if Chris is experiencing it the way I want him to experience it, and if everybody's doing what I need so that I can experience the way I want to experience it, and like it's a small part.
Thank you for sharing that. It's such an important message, because when we can learn to be okay with what is here in the present moment, and we stop reaching, and therefore we don't feel the lack so much. Like, we can be grateful in that moment. And I know people sort of bang on about gratitude and being in the present and being here now, but I definitely know from my own experiences and journey, it's just that stillness and being, giving ourselves permission to slow that down. Even if we're going fast, we are more present, and then you are able to have a completely different experience that you wouldn't have been open to before that, because you would have been so focused on the expectation of how it should be that you kind of lose the the moment of now to actually create something that you've not experienced before, which can be just as enriching and fulfilling. And yeah, I love that you've shared that.
Yeah, it's so it's that's so it is a dream, and it was a dream, and it's not over yet. But yeah, it's, I mean, that, I guess there's so many angles and facets, because I've been thinking all day about us talking, and like, wow, people will be like, oh, she's living her best life, or what does that mean? And it just means something different to everyone, and not everyone would want to be doing what I'm doing, but I think it's the act of doing is the part.
Oh yeah. Otherwise we sit in our heads and hallucinate about how it might be, right? And I think I might just ask you a few questions about that. If we just go back a little bit, we might lead into it, because I'd love for you to share with the, whoever's watching, but also particularly for the Live Your Best Life community, from your time here as an ambassador and really being on the ground and in the heart space of serving, the community and offering your hands-on gifts, what did that mean to you, and what has it sort of given you over the time frame? Because we're talking now nearly like 9-10 years.
I think, we've had conversations about this, but I mean, Live Your Best Life definitely opened my eyes to, different systems and structures. I think that was really where my weakness was when I first started way back when, especially in the business aspect of things. And it gave me that structure, because as most people know about me, I'm not about systems and structures at all. I tend to find lots of friends that do systems and structures well, and then they help me do them. But so Live Your Best Life really gave me that. It gave me a community of people that were like-minded, and it gave me you and Dave. So that's enough. And just, all the learnings and the people, and I guess learning that I did have a voice, because I remember, I'm sure you probably don't remember as vividly as me, but when we first met, my biggest fear was public speaking. Remember, I couldn't get up in front of a crowd, and I couldn't speak. Like, I would get to the point, and then I couldn't actually physically speak. And that there was a huge breakthrough, because now I feel like I have a voice, and before I felt like I had a voice, but I couldn't speak. So really,
and that fascinated me about you, because you were so confident, and so, like, even listening to your past experiences from being in the Fred, what's his name? Rugby boxing troupe, and you were like the right bam, 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 bam lady, like announcing that you're in town, and maybe it was boom, boom. You always do it better than me, because it's your story. I just remember our times out on the water, and I go, can you do that thing for me that you used to do when you're in the boxing troupe group? And then you were a camel jockey, and you've done, you traveled all the way here from America to Australia to really create a new life. And that to me was just like, wow, this woman's full of so much confidence, and you had such a strong voice to me. But I think it was that connecting to your own personal message. And that's the whole point of Live Your Best Life. It's about understanding yourself more deeply, connecting to whatever that message is on your own heart. And it's about shaping that for yourself, because a lot of people would just probably claim somebody else's for a period of time until they can actually discover what that is.
I think one of the most impactful exercises or tools that Live Your Best Life, and I use too for my coaching, is just, just breaking down, like, what are your values as a person, and honoring those, and like bringing them into everything you do, like a mission statement, like, I stand for truth, I stand for justice, I stand for, all the things that I value, love. And to me, once I got clear on that, then I was like, okay, well, I stand for something now. And that's That was powerful. So that,
Yeah. And so much so that when you connected to what that was, I remember this beautiful process unfolding, and it was frustrating some days, and then it was like enlightening on other days. And that's the whole part of it. It's not about getting to the destination, it's that journey. And I know I'm using quite a few little cliches, but they're so true. There's truth in them. That's why people, I guess, talk about them, right? That, yeah. Anyway, what you did connect to was your voice and the truth, and then you wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And our amazing friend, and I guess, you know, another Live Your Best Life ambassador that we give great contribution to is the amazing Dave Thompson, creator of the inspirational book writers. Hey Dave, if you're watching, retreat. Well, it's not just a retreat now. Man, has he evolved that thing. It's now online, and he's now got audio books, and I'm like, wow, I was like the little guinea pig, and now look at, like, I'm just so proud of you, Dave. I just want you to know. But the Spirit Cast Network book, this is a Spirit Cast Network book, and the Spirit Cast Network is who Dave represents now as writing books. But Tara went off to his retreat and created this book, and it was all about her message that she found on her heart. So people can buy this on Amazon. She's an Amazon #1 bestseller, and it's all about her journey and the truth that she did connect to within her heart, which did lead to healing. Yeah, you might want to talk about that just a bit and share with whoever is listening. What does Truthfully Heals mean to you? Just sort of, you know.
Yeah, well, I guess Truthfully Heals is a collection of my stories. I think everybody in the world, every person in life goes through life, and there's certain decisions that come to you, and when you make them, whatever decision you make will change the trajectory of your life path. Like, and so those are the stories that are in that book. And this decision that I made to buy a boat, sell my house, move country, sail the world, follow my dream is one of those. My life will never be what it was at Fennel Bay where I was living. It's changed the way my life is going. And that's not to say that I won't live back in Australia. It's just that it'll just be different. So Truthfully Heals. So, and it's the healing process of once you honor the truth within yourself and stop believing the lies. So then there's like that aspect of it. It's like, okay, well, if, you know, like I can't do this or I can't do that, or someone told me I was stupid, or someone told me that when I spoke in front of people that I sounded dumb, or whatever that was causing me to be fearing of speaking in public, stayed with me until I could actually heal from that and know the truth about that. And so that's why the Truth Fully Heals. It's kind of a, you know.
Yeah, and I think what I love a lot about your message in the book too is how we can trick ourselves with untruths, and you just do it all through life, and it goes back to just the basic framework of coaching that we have an experience, we attach a meaning to it, and then we form a belief around it, and that belief shapes our own reality, and we call that life. And then at some point or another, we look at it and we go, how did I end up here? You know, so it's about reconnecting back to what really is the truth. What have I hallucinated about? What have I made up that is completely not true? And I guess really then allowing that to shape the reality that we want, right?
Yeah, and the thing is not only does that shape the reality of the life that you're living, but that's when you get to unbury and find the seeds of potential that were actually delivered onto your heart to perform in the world. So, you know, that's when you realize, you know, like, oh yeah, I forgot about that seed, you know, like I've been so consumed, but there's actually a little seed inside of me that needs to be tender, you know, taken care of and nurtured, so that, and when you are living in a place of, I guess, getting to that point where you could honor that, it's, I guess that's when, you know, all your dreams come true.
Yeah, and they still got tricky parts to them. But I think one thing I really draw upon with what you're saying is, and it goes back to what you said at the very beginning as well, it's about taking a step, or it's about taking action. And why is it, do you think, that people don't do that? Why do they not take a step? Why do they not take action?
Well, I mean, I guess it's fear of the unknown or the control, losing control,
Yeah.
and not having a clear picture, or it's basically fear or
Yeah.
not being in control. I think
Yeah.
when you can, I mean, when you can cut the cord to having to control everything and cut the cord to fear holding you back, I mean, besides resentment, maybe, or some sort of tragic trauma, maybe, kind of could help stop stuff. But I think fear and control, there were probably two. You just got to jump in. I mean, people that know me, I I tend to jump in the deep end with most things. Like I don't really kind of go from the shallow end to the deep end and wade through that. I'll just jump in and then drown or whatever. And so letting go of control in one way was really hard for me, because society is brain or gotten into my head to say, if you're successful, you're going to have a house, and you're going to have a car, and you're going to have kids, and you're going to have an animal, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to be working, and you're just going to pay bills and live, and then,
and then what?
I don't know. Yeah. And this is so not that. And so there was a real question on my mind, is like, is this it? Like, am I doing the right thing? And questioning myself. And that's another big thing, is just, then the questioning of.
Yeah. I remember going on a few bushwalks with you while you were in that time of reflection, and just thinking, like, what if? But what I now know to be true, not just about you, but for people who really do take action, is I actually don't spend a lot of time overthinking it, right? Because then you immobilize that step, like you pull back, and then you start diminishing yourself, and then you just go back to living, I'm going to say a beige kind of life.
Can you imagine?
Not a lot of color in that. There's like a grayness to it. It's not black or white. Like black and white are so strikingly different, right? So they're extremes. But when you put gray in there, it's like, oh, I'm not going to be that. I'm a bit safe here and there, and we don't really connect to the truth, and then our own voice, and then our own message. That's what I've learned and seen and experienced with most people.
I mean, just put it this way: who in their right mind, or how big would a list be? I can't even imagine how big a list would have been for me to realize, okay, and then I would be here, like, to plan that. I mean, you couldn't sit in my house and figure that out. Like, it would, even when my dream was when Chris and I got married, that was it. It was just dropped into the ground and left. We didn't plan, like, we didn't do any. I mean, I think you should plan, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that if we overthought it,
you would not.
We would have
could do it.
Would have scared me if we knew what we knew after we did it all. We would be thinking, what the heck were we thinking? Sorry, I'm moving around a lot because there's mosquitoes and they're driving me.
What I'm really loving is we're getting a real sense of being where you are, because you've just said there's mosquitoes, but we're hearing the water like lapping around you. I'm like, you really are in the Caribbean.
I'll just give you a quick, it's going into sunset, so I'll give you a better view.
Wow. And that's it. Like, so where are you living right now?
That's our boat. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. There's a big mast just off on the distance. So
we're the only one in the bay. We're the only one in the bay right now. So we own this.
Well, at least we're safe from the hurricanes. So where's everyone else?
Yeah, but this morning it blew and rained so hard. They just come so quick. We've been watching the weather every single minute. Like every 30 minutes, we got to just check to say, like, is anything changed? Is anything coming? Is anything happening? Like, what's happening? And you see the clouds coming, because it's all like, you see the clouds and they're like,
well, I've been watching your videos, and then they just look like they're
so big.
But that's what I also love about this adventure. I think people often forget just how extreme the world around us is, and how it changes constantly, and how you're not always going to be prepared for that. You can just do your best to be prepared, and when it's there, you do your best again. And that's the whole thing, is live your best life is not something you reach for. It's actually with you right now. You're doing your best with what you have, with the knowledge you have, with whatever version of reality you're shaping for yourself. And I guess it only really comes into effect is if when a person wants to create change. And I think that was something you said to me from one of your experiences of your time here, is that what you did learn was that change would only occur if the person was willing and ready for that change. And I think that comes down to when the pain of what they're doing really kind of overtakes the pleasure that they're seeking. You know, most people will do more to avoid the pain than to seek the pleasure, because of they know if they take that step, then perhaps their whole entire life as they know it now is going to change.
Yeah.
And I think we had a really good conversation about this not that long ago. People don't often make the change, because when they do, like yourself, everything in your life has changed. Yeah. Apart from maybe the connection with those you love, there's still ways to stay connected to that, because, you know, on a physical level, you now are in the Caribbean, but your soul connection, your spirit connection, whatever people call it, is, you know, that's on a more subtle level, and that's actually often deeper. Rather than, you know, I do miss having you physically here, but our connection of soul and spirit and who I adore about you hasn't changed. And I think that's what people also fear, that, you know, I'm going to lose my friends, or I'm going to lose how I know life to be. But they're generally living in pain when they're in that life. So it's just really a kind of interesting contrast.
Yeah, I had a reflective moment the other day about all that, in that, you know, as we get older, God, we get boring, because when you're like, when Chris and I were first married, like when you decide, you know, even to move out of your parents' home, or, you know, when you decide to get married, you don't know what you're going to do. You don't know where you're going to live. You don't know if you are going to be able to pay for your rent that day, next week. Like, but you're just, you know, those were the funnest times, weren't they? Like,
but you know, when you so full of adventure, it's like every day was an adventure. It's like, I don't know, getting your license for the first time.
Exactly. It was hard. Yeah, it was hard, and it was kind of scary. And there were days that you were like, no, I can't pay the electricity bill, you know, but you just kind of made it happen, and you kept on getting older, and, you know, you got more stable, and you figured it out better, and you learned how to do it more. And, you know, you gathered things that you needed to do the things that you need to do. And, you know, we just got to be a little bit more agile. And I'll always go back to, like, you know, relating it back to something fitness, because, you know, when you can kind of be like more like a cat, and, you know, climb up things and move things and not be grounded so much, then, yeah, I think that it makes a huge difference if you just can. I mean, I brought myself back to those, you know, my youth, and I'm like, you know what? I'll be all right. I can do this. This is okay. We're good. We can do it. And I go back to, like, how important health is, because, you know, if you don't have your health, you really can't do as much as which you wish you could do, and how important that is. And how out of control that can be for us. And everyone has different challenges. And I know you've experienced so many different health challenges that you keep, you know, persevering over and living your best life through. And, you know, you didn't ask for that. You didn't want that. And I'm just always, every day, so grateful that I have my health, my mental health, and my physical health, to be able to do mainly whatever I want to do. So
yeah. And you're right, and the challenge in that, especially for myself, has been to still continually seek that gift even in those times. And they have actually been what's allowed me to do this work that I do now, and that gives me so much gratitude, because when you've experienced those sorts of things, you can relate on a different level to yourself. But we also experienced, you know, a big life change together in that space. And, you know, I think we helped each other through that, because we could make a little bit more sense of it. So community in those times is really important, because most of the time when we're experiencing some sort of trauma or health shift, we pull away. we cocoon ourselves and we really retract. And what I learned was to be able to trust yourself again, you have to actually start to lean on others as well. It brings a different healthy perspective. And I know at a time of meeting you, you were that epitome for me of health. And of course I wanted to lean into you, you know, like it just made sense that, but most people would just go, well, I don't match that. And, you know, my journey's this, her journey's that. But we get to blend. That's the beautiful thing about being a human, having a human experience. Yeah. And once we meet, if we pull back from connection to self and others, then we really are just surviving. There's not a lot of thriving in that. Yeah. But yeah, I really like that perspective too, because yeah, it really ties in that if you're thinking or overthinking something, then you're probably not going to take a step. And it's that one step that's so important, because it actually means you're going to back yourself, even if you have no idea, no clue what's going to happen next. But, you know, part of our values, you were talking about values. Live Your Best Life has its own thread of values, which were shaped and created right here at the retreat center at LYBL with all the ambassadors. We had a beautiful weekend together, and they have not changed. They are still the golden threads of the DNA of Live Your Best Life. And the first part of the value is to accept that call to adventure rather than refusing it all the time. And when you do that, you have this opportunity to embrace those fears and really lean into your curiosity. And I think curiosity brings back that youth that you were mentioning. Because when you become curious, you're like the cat. You are like the kid that is like just starting out. And once you bring curiosity, then you actually learn to bring more presence to where you're at. Like you're actually in it, fully immersed in it, because I'm sure you couldn't half-heartedly make a plan or a decision to get yourself to the Caribbean. Like it would have just been your whole world at the time. I remember watching you. It was like, nope, we got to do this and we got to do that. And it was like fully immersive. So you're more present to where you're at. And then because you got more presence, then you create more connection, and then that's way more meaningful. And that's where the hero inside rises. And that's when you step into owning the truth. And then you get to join forces for the greater good, because then all the resources that you need show up, you know, like all through your journey. It's like, oh, and then we had this happen, and then the person that we needed was right in front of us. We met them, and then they went, oh, we know such and such, and they know such and such, and boom, there it is.
I can share another one example of that happening too. Is I said to Chris maybe 2 weeks ago, you know, I want to refresh my scuba license. You know, I've done scuba. I was a huge scuba diver, and I just kind of let it go. So it wasn't that much money to refresh. And he's like, yeah, okay. And I'm like, I don't know if I'll do anything with it. But the next morning, because every day at 7:30 in the morning, there's a cruiser's net. You know, they get up on the old the radio, and you have this like protocol you got to follow, and it's fun. But then there's Treasures of the Trove. So anybody that wants to buy, sell, or swap something can come on and tell what they have. And then if somebody else is interested, they share, you know, after the net, and they talk about prices. And so right at the very end, this guy says, this lady comes on, she says, yes, I have a full set of women's scuba gear, a tank, booties, wetsuit, snorkel, BCD, air regulator, tank, and I don't know, everything, and men, and a whole outfit of men's. And I was like, what? How does that happen? And so I was waiting for after the net to get first on, you know, like to grab the first in thing. But I'm a little bit nervous still, because I'm like not as, you know, like I'm just like, ah. And so I had that moment, and this other lady comes in, and she's like, I'm interested in the BCD. Is it a extra small? And I'm like, that's fine. She can't have it. But she beat me. And then another man came in and started grabbing stuff, and I was like, damn it. Anyway, so I just let it all go, because I'm just like, And then I got connected with her, and she had said, I thought of selling the whole thing as one unit. So I knew that was something of interest. So I called her and I said, I'm interested in the whole package. So I bought it. I got it.
You got it. So you set the intention, but then created the connection.
Yeah. So we've been to her boat, and she sold us a hooker, or some hooker where Chris can just dive in with the hose or something. And so
Wow.
but anyway, so it's funny talking about collecting stuff and then talking about getting rid of stuff too, because that's such a huge thing, isn't it? Like,
well, yeah, I mean, as you said, society kind of conditions us to create a house, create a home, and then we fill the home. And I remember that process for you when you were making decisions to let things go. Do you want to share a little bit about that? Because I think it's such a big part, especially of my own experience of living my best life, is the lack of, what would I say, connection to things. It's so freeing, but it's also quite challenging. So share from your perspective.
I remember, like I remember going through it, and there were only certain things, and surprisingly, the things that I was more heartfelt towards, I wasn't prepared for it. Like, I didn't realize that it meant so much to me. And then now all of a sudden, I've got to get rid of it. And, all those decisions that come. And I know people have asked me, like, how did you do that? How did you get rid of things? How did you, because I guess Chris and I, but like, people sometimes just go, okay, I'm going to simplify, and then they do that, and that's great. And then some people just go, oh, I'm going to sell my house. Okay, that's great. And some people go, I'm just going to sell my car. Well, that's good. But when you're doing like all of those things and packing your whole life at 50 years old, when I finished, I was like, I have 3 suitcases. This is the result of where I'm 50 years old. I remember having it at 30 years old, looking at my life and going, I'm 30 years old and I don't even have a dresser. And so I had a dresser and I didn't want to get rid of it. I was so attached to my dresser because I bought it when I was 30 because I didn't have one, and damn it, I deserved one. And then I had to get rid of it, and I was like, that hurt. But I felt like the biggest, the things that meant the most to me, I almost gave away. I almost didn't even put a price on it. From my heart, I'm like, you couldn't pay me enough to, for me to see value in the money of it, like, because it meant too much to me. I mean, I think, the chair that you have, oh, you did pay for that actually, but you insisted. You did give me money, but I was like, I don't need it. Like, I was just happy for you to have.
But then you loaded me up with a whole bunch of other things like the mirror and the sailing boat.
I wanted to contribute really badly, and okay, thank you very much. But like, seriously, I would have given it to you for free. Like, anything, like
I wanted to help your journey. I wanted to support you on your next journey.
But for me to know that you have that means more to me,
Yeah.
And I've got, one of my other girlfriends has a couch. It's a stupid couch. It's just a couch. But she has it, and I like to know that I know where it is, and I know where my dresser is, and I'm not close to them, but I know it went to a young married couple, and I'm happy about that. And so the hardest things were probably the ones that were, like of my mom's, or,
Well, I just had a thought as soon as you said that, because I still remember, because you've got a circle of women here that your dearest friends in Lake Macquarie, and you gave those of us that you really wanted to honor your mum, because we'd met your mum. And we were also fortunate to be gifted a beautiful piece of jewelry from you that belongs to your mum. And it is kind of weird, isn't it, that we connect. It's the memory and it's the soul connection and love and the memory and all those things that the relationship with that person means, that can be simplified. It's a symbol. And I'm learning that it's not as important, but I know how hard it must have been, because if I think about what just having your chair in my house means, it's and that piece of jewelry you gave me means, because I think there was quite a lot of things we've spoken about in the past that you did notice about your time at Live Your Best Life, which I think was more around how people either, I kind of alluded to it, want help, or they don't want help. They're not going to make the change, right? But then also you did experience this heavy time of darkness with, you know, the grief of your mum's passing. So what did you notice through that time, like your time here about people, and then what you've noticed about grief? Because I think it's such a big part of our human experience.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I've talked so much about this. It's getting dark, so
I can tell her, like, you're going to have to get going sooner out on your rib.
I have my phone light on. But not enough. Anyway, yeah, I can't, you know, one of the things I noticed, and I was glad that Live Your Best Life, you know, philosophies or values or structure, or whatever it was, you know, I learned so much about myself in so many ways and strategies that I taught other people to apply in hard situations. And when I was coaching or doing those things, whether it was health or for life, you know, I wasn't in their space. I didn't understand their grief or their depression I had empathy, and I can hold space. And when my mom passed away, as most of you guys know, I mean, nothing hit me harder like that. It just, you know, no philosophies in the world, no strategies. And, you know, I think it's not that I didn't want to change. I felt like, you know what, I don't care. I really don't care right now. And I don't want help, and I don't want people to be nice. I don't need anything. I don't want anything. I just want people to leave me alone and just back off. I just want to die, right? Like, I just want to be left alone, which is the worst thing, right? You need to have connection. And so I knew that.
There was a connection still that you're processing to your mum and yourself at the time. So I think as long as there's still that connection to something, and you were processing that connection.
I was. And my friends were too, never, you know, you and many of my best friends, you know, they were still right there by me. So I was never alone. And I really did not want to be alone. But I realized that, you know, I noticed that there are some things in life that can knock you down, and that was one of them for me. And I feel I can, you know, I'm standing now, and I think, you know, I can dust off some of the strategies and go, okay, I'm ready to apply this now. I'm ready to try this on, and I'm ready to, you know, walk in my power again, and I'm deserving of happiness, and I want to live my best life. And, you know, I don't know when I push the button, you know, I don't think in my heart, truthfully, I can say that I didn't push the button to sell my house and do all this crazy stuff. You know, I'd had 2 years of grieving for my mom, and I feel like I was of clear mind when I made the decision. But, you know, I don't know.
What does that mean anyway? Let's be honest. What does that, you know, what does being of clear mind mean?
I feel like I am where I'm meant to be. You know, I really feel like everything's happened the way it's meant to be. All things work out for good, and to have trust in that, and to go, you know what, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out. It always does. But I've just got to believe that. I've got to trust it, have faith, and believe in it. And those are my 3 things now. Like, Truthfully Heals was one, and it's evolved to be like, you know, you have to trust. Then you have to believe, and you have to have faith. And if you can hold on to those 3 things, through any storm or through any challenge, to know that you're going to be okay, and you will weather this storm. And I know that I trust that. I trust that I will be okay. It is empowering. It's freeing, and that's, I think that's my new thing. I'm not sure how I can.
That's what I'm learning is now your deepest intention, you know, is to find the gift in the challenge, how you can grow and gain that insight and wisdom, but really how to have the trust and the faith and to believe in all that is meant to be. And in that, you've unfolded, from what I've seen, an experience of still insight of understanding around the physical body and the spiritual self and body, like seeing your mum around you on your journeys as well, in different signs and different ways, and just knowing that she's ultimately still with you, that nothing in that sense has really shifted. She's just not in the physical form here with you right now.
Yeah, and I wish that peace and serenity for everyone, and the world. Like those are, if it, I think you asked me once, like, well, what's your prayer for
Yeah, like what is your personal prayer, or
what's your
not?
personal prayer?
My yogic world now that and lean so heavily and
Or affirmation or what?
whatever it is. Yeah, what's your personal prayer?
Yeah, and I think I have to connect back to the serenity prayer. It's got me through some of the hardest times, and I'm sure it's a number of people know it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I'll always hold on to that. My personal, strength draws from that. But world, I'm still, every day I pray that this world will just find some peace. If every single person can find 1 ounce of peace within themselves every day, then the world can just settle down. And I see the impacts of the web. We talk about the global warming when we read about it, but I see things happening here out where we are in the ocean and in the sky and on the land. And it's happening, it's changing, the temperatures are changing, the water's getting warmer. There's more rainfall, less rainfall at different parts of the times of year. And if you're in the mountains, you'd probably be able to relate it to a different perspective. uh, and the world right now, the animals, the birds, the ocean creatures, the human beings on this planet are really, they've gone nuts. Like everyone is unsettled and everyone's just trying to find a new place in this way that we're living. And so I just pray for peace and serenity, like for the world. And that's my prayer for the world, is just serenity and peace.
Yeah,
At an individual level.
it's just so well said. If every one single human being on the planet could find just that little bit more peace within, and to know that where they are right now is exactly where they're meant to be, that there's nothing missing, there's really nothing to strive for, which sounds weird, right? When we set so many goals and dreams, we talk about goals and dreams, but it's really lovely to have a vision, because I think that it leads you into the part of yourself that is to awaken to your gift that you have, to be able to serve in the planet, to be able to bring that message of connection and peace. Like we all have that beautiful gift, and we all have our own sense of our own wisdom. And what I'm learning as a collective, our wisdom is so much the same, but we have our own unique expression on how to bring that to life and to offer those gifts. And it's about connecting to that voice. It's literally about what you were talking about before, is being able to find what that message on your heart is, because how I say it is going to be different to how you say it. And that may be the little step that someone needs to be able to find that peace. So, yeah,
And I
it's
think
really important.
I agree. I just on that, on the dreaming and the I think having a vision, like you said, that's great, and I think where myself and many others get it wrong is that the vision isn't connected to anything. It's not connected to, it's gotta somehow has to come from in. It's not just you write it on paper and it's a sentence and it sounds good. It's actually got to be, you got to close your eyes and like feel it and almost barf it up, like you almost got to, oh my God, there it is. Wow. How did that happen? I don't even know.
100%. I love that. It's so true, because it is, you got to really be immersed in it. It's, as you know, I've recently graduated, as done my yoga teacher training, and it really found a whole other layer to myself that I had not experienced before. But what it did teach me even more deeply was that that gift is literally what your intention and purpose is to be on this planet. And in yoga, we call it living a dharmic life, which is just full of our purpose and intention. But to really experience it, you've got to be fully in it. And, most people are so busy trying to reach for something that's out in front. It's like, it's right here now. And your vision for the future will literally line up as soon as you connect more deeply to that. So, you know, because you'll just know exactly what you're meant to do each day when you get out of bed, you know. And
I think people can, you know, this is just what I found, and maybe it's helpful, but I find that, you know, how do you know this is the whisper? Like, you know, because you hear a lot of things, and, you know, like, you know me, I had an interview the other day for a possible, you know, like part-time job. And the lady asked me, so, you know, tell me, like, what's your background? And I just kind of smiled and went, well, I'm kind of like a gecko. I mean, I can kind of just be whatever color you want me to be. I can just do whatever you ask me to do. I can just be that. But how do you know what that, if that is, so when you go through life and you hear, it's the repeated whisper along a period of time is probably something that you want to listen for. That's the clue. And that's what I found is that if it keeps on coming back, like I could come up with all these great things today, and in a month, what did I say? I don't even remember. But if the one thing keeps coming through, I find that it's that constant little whisper, and it keeps coming back and dropping in, and you're like, no, that doesn't make sense right now. Yes, it does. That's when you go action.
It's the call to adventure. Action.
And I don't know, did I tell you?
Yeah.
I'm not sure I wrote about it, I came home from a conference and Chris is like, okay, well, sorry, the security guard just flashed. We said, let's sell the boat, let's sell the house. And we're like dreaming, yeah. And he's like, slow down, Tara. And I'm like, no, let's just do it. And he's like, okay. And then we didn't talk because I was away. And then I got back home and he had on the dining room table a button, like he'd drawn a red button and it said, press for adventure of a lifetime. Did I tell you this?
No, I don't know this. This is so cool.
And I was like, what? And he's like, and he, you know, he had it all drafted out and he's like, you ready to push it? And I'm like, no, I'm not ready. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, you're the one that started this. What are you talking about? And I'm like, I'm not ready. I can't do it. And he's just like, so he just, you could see, like, if you know Chris, the little steam coming out of his head. He's like, what do you mean you don't not ready? And I'm like,
you know, actually, I do remember this now. I don't remember the button. I remember the conversation and whatever.
Anyway, so the button was there, and I was like, but so I had to sleep on it, and I was like, I did exactly that. I'm like, is this really? Is this it? Is this the moment? Is this seed? Is this what we've been waiting for? And the answer was, yeah, you need to do it. And so I didn't. You know, and the other thing I really believe in is I didn't go ask 5 friends.
No.
Because, you know, it had to come in from me. And if I went and asked my friends all the crazy other thoughts
and all the overthinking and the society, and it's all of their experiences, beliefs, and meanings that are then going to be like
control and like what ifs. And so I just went. So once we pushed the get button, and there wasn't anything anybody could say. It was already decided. And so I really would recommend, you know, when you're up to these types of decisions, don't go asking too many people because it just screws your mind up. It really does.
I think that ties in beautifully with getting to know yourself on a deeper level and self-awareness and letting go of judgments and things that just, you know, they continue to weigh you down, being non-attached to those things, because you know that whisper is literally, it's your own whisper. That's the whole thing, you know. And Live Your Best Life was born out of a whisper I had at the age of 15, and it's never, I always say to you, live your best life is not something I do, it's who I am. You know. And I was just so grateful that I was able to get take that whisper and hear it loudly at 15. And I have tried to put it away, but it just keeps coming back. And I think that's the whole point. Yeah. Well, look, I'm really aware that you're now sitting in the dark, and I could continue to talk to you forever. And I know that some of our yeah, we will do it again. We will do this again. You know, I know a few of our community members had asked you some questions in the campfire group. So maybe you could yeah, well, you could maybe answer them if you feel called.
Yeah,
and next time you come, Next time you come to shore, you could maybe go live and go, right, this is what goes on here. Because a lot of people are very curious around how you are there living your best life now. And
yeah, maybe I'll do a little mini. Well, see, my biggest problem is uploading these damn videos.
Wi-Fi. Yeah, so just jump in and go live whenever you feel like it. You never know. I know Christine and Monica and, you know, a few people had asked some really specific questions of you. So
yeah, I better get on to it.
But let's do this again. You know, we've been talking about finding ways to create a Truthfully Heals Live Your Best Life collaboration whilst you are abroad, and finding, you know, new ways. You'll probably be having a job soon by the sounds of it. But guys, you know, I don't go on about selling things and plugging things, but, you know, if you feel called, this is a fabulous book to get to know this amazing lady. Jump on in, search it on Amazon. And we look forward to connecting with you more and more, and hearing more about your lucky living adventures and the next step that you're going to take. What is that next step?
I love you.
I love you too. And thank you for taking the time to come ashore and staying ashore.
Thank you for making this happen. And, you know, just to all the Live Your Best Life camp group, you know, I'm excited that it's the fire, the Kindle is starting to just burn some light again. And, you know, I see your presence, and, you know, you always inspire people to lift up. So, you know, it's great to see you on there, Michele. And when I see you, then I want to do it. I want to play. If you're playing,
it's that little playground.
Somebody else is going to play with us, and then, you know, so let's play. Play.
We invite everybody to enjoy life's little playground. It's literally, we never know when our last day in the physical world is coming to an end. So let's enjoy the time that we have here, everybody, and realize that it all begins with community connection, for us to be able to find ourselves in that space again and listen to those whispers and take the action that we need. And once we take that step, it gets a little chaotic, and that's why you need a community of people around you that just want to champion you and you know, cheer you on. Because, you know, once you got through the chaotic stage, you know, the ultimate reward is the elixir of life. So thank you, Miss T, Tara Davidson. Truthfully Heals, guys, and, you know, we invite all of you to just claim that part of yourself that whispers to you, so you too can live your very best life.
Yes, and you know, I'm enjoying watching you know, you going through the Live Your Best Life journal and reflecting on that. So that's super awesome. And so I've got mine online. Did I tell you? I have the edited version. Do you remember when we were doing? So I have it. So
you can type in
or printable or something. I don't know, but I've been reading that, so I'm happy to have that with me. I don't have the hard copy, and you know, I think maybe I can get on your Zoom meetings, but not always. So I hope to be able to hear the replays. But love to all of you guys, and all that you're doing, Michele. Keep on keeping on and living your best life, and letting and helping other people be inspired to live and be empowered to find their voice and live their life and find and hear their whispers. So God, you know, so thankful to you for that.
Remember to change things you can and have the wisdom to know the difference.
That's right. And just rest of it can just like Tony Horton says, do your best and forget the rest.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Give our love to Chris and the kids and the girls, and we'll catch you very soon.
Give love to David and the kids. Bye.
Bye.